Good afternoon, Fredonia, and welcome to News 11. I'm Hope Winter.
And I'm Aiden Johnson.
As you can tell, we're on a brand new time this semester, and next week our set will be getting a makeover.
Exciting!
I know!
I'm very excited.
I'm really excited about it. But that's not the only change that is happening here at Fredonia. Due to the projected $1 million budget deficit FSA faces at the end of the semester, there's been minor cutbacks on dining services that are offered on campus. These cutbacks include closing almost all lecture hall cafes, shortening Starbucks hours, and Tim Hortons is currently closed completely on the weekends.
We're still going to be at a significant deficit, obviously, for the year. I'm still projecting around an $800,000 to $1 million loss for the year. The only thing that's going to be the saving grace is that the Paycheck Protection Loan that we applied for and received through the CARES Act. So that's going to balance out our loss for this year, but we're trying to make sure that we don't have to make dramatic adjustments in the future because of the not making incremental adjustments when we do face these losses.
And even with these cutbacks, FSA plans on raising the prices of meal plans next semester and may have to shorten the dining hall hours even more.
Fredonia's Maidum Convocation this year has a very special guest. MIT engineer and Emmy-nominated TV host Emily Calandrelli will talk on the topic of empathetic science communication in an increasingly polarized world on February 23rd at 3 p.m. Calandrelli has worked on the show Bill Nye Saves the World and hosts her own show on Netflix now called Emily's Wonderful Lab. Between Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, she has almost 600,000 followers. She uses her social media to encourage kids, specifically girls, to get excited about science, especially space exploration. She often advocates for more diversity in STEM. The Zoom link for the talk can be found on the Fredonia website.
And in Buffalo, Tuesday, February 16th, an Amber Alert was issued for a 17-year-old girl from North Tonawanda. Since then, the alert has been canceled and the teen has been found. 50-year-old kidnapper Michael Mesko is in police custody. The teen was seen getting into Mesko's vehicle around 7 p.m. Monday night, and the local authorities were soon contacted once those who saw her realized he may have been trying to take her out of state. Mesko is in federal custody and could be facing state charges.
Moving now to the pandemic, the New York State Department of Health has announced that they will begin following the guidelines recently released by the CDC. The CDC has decided to raise the quarantine restrictions for anyone who is completely vaccinated. The CDC has also recommended that wearing 2 masks can have double the effectiveness of protecting you from the virus. They are recommending that you wear a cloth mask over a surgical mask. With both, your rate of stopping the virus particles increases from 42% to 92%. And here in Chautauqua County, the health department reported on Tuesday that the positivity rate for the county is 2%, which is the lowest it's been since December. The amount of people in quarantine, as well as active cases, has fallen a significant amount in the past weeks. In the last 7 days, the amount of cases has gone from 229 reported to 186 active, with 602 in quarantine, which fell from the previous 693. There have also been 6,992 recoveries as well. SUNY Fredonia is now testing every on-campus student, faculty, and staff member weekly on a rotating schedule. Right now, there are an estimated 9 total positive cases.
And now moving on to Albany. In the last few weeks, New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo has taken a lot of heat over the way he's been handling the deaths of those in nursing homes due to the pandemic. Cuomo's task force has been accused of covering up deaths that they are now under investigation by the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office in Brooklyn. Governor Cuomo also is under fire for Democratic leaders with the state Senate who want to remove his emergency powers granted during the pandemic. This again is related to his administration revealing 15,000 nursing homes patients have died with COVID-19, up from the previous official figure of 8,000. This move by the Senate shows deepening divide between the state Democrats and the governor. who has also had the complete control over the state's response to the pandemic. Last spring, the response of Cuomo's actions was much more positive, highlighting the drastic change of public opinion. State senators want to pass a bill that limits the governor's power to go above state laws in responding to the pandemic and will form a committee to evaluate future steps Cuomo takes related to the pandemic.
This month is Black History Month, and the city of Buffalo spent the last week highlighting local Black-owned restaurants. Black Restaurant Week has returned to Buffalo for its 4th year. The Buffalo Urban Young Professionals host over a dozen Black-owned restaurants and businesses to showcase their diverse culture and tasty cuisines. Some of them include Buffalo Soul, Cake Crazy Bakery, La Veridad Cafe, and Carl's Cafe. You can find a full list of the restaurants on their website, blackrestaurantweek716.com. Black Restaurant Week runs now through February 21st.
And the Buffalo Bisons have released their 2021 schedule with opening day set for April 6 at Salem Field. The Bisons are scheduled to play 142 games this season against Triple East Northeast Division teams. This includes 12 home series with 33 weekend games that will extend 2 weeks longer than previous years. And due to the pandemic, 6 games against the same opponent. Fans will not be able to purchase season tickets, ticket packages, and individual tickets or group hospitality areas. Capacity and COVID stadium procedures will be made at a later date. And now we have a special final story that involves one of our own, actually. 2 Fredonia students that are gaining a lot of traction on social media for their band. Former Fredonia student Ryan Pert and News 11's very own Aiden Johnson here created a band last year that's now gaining a lot of attention on social media. Pert and Johnson met during their first semester here at Fredonia and since then have been creating music. Last summer, they released their first EPs, and now just a few weeks ago, they released their first official single, Next Life. Yesterday, I had the chance to interview the young singer and talk about how his music career is starting off.
And he came and saw me perform, and I knew he played drums, and it took us like months to actually rehearse, and then we rehearsed, and it was fun. So then we went in the studio, recorded some stuff, and
Ryan's Instagram account has 37,000 followers and his TikTok page has an amazing 195,000 followers. So Aiden, how does it feel to be gaining this much traction?
Well, you know what, Hope? It's overwhelming, to say the least. It's very overwhelming, but like with everything, especially in this very uncertain world, we're taking it day by day. You know, we're not sure what the future holds for us, but we're happy to be making music, and we're happy to be getting back into the studio this coming next week as well. So I remember the days where we used to hang out up in Chautauqua Hall, and now, you know, there's a lot of uncertainty for our future. So we'll see what happens, but
well, we are really excited to see where you guys go, and we are so excited to have you here to talk about it as well. So just after break, we'll have the latest national headlines, including history, winter storm that in the South that has been and an update as well on stimulus checks. We'll be right back.
Different kinds of pipes that freeze for different reasons. To protect yours, wrap insulation around exposed pipes. If a hard freeze is forecast, open the doors under sinks and let the hot and cold faucets trickle overnight. Leave the heat on if you're leaving town. Following these steps can get you through cold weather on a high note.
During World War II, recycling was a way of
And now here in New York, we may be used to the cold weather and snow, but unfortunately, Texas was not prepared for the extreme winter weather conditions they are currently facing. Texas power grid failing has ignited a debate between the GOP and Democrats on the Democrats say what is the decades of oversight. Texas has avoided federal regulation and has established a system that is almost entirely cut off from the rest of the country. This week, Texas grid collapsed from surges in cold weather and several power plants freezing during the unusual winter weather. Republican Governor Greg Abbott has blamed the power outages on renewable energy sources. Abbott claims that a dependence on wind and solar has put Texas in a position of lacking power on a statewide basis. The Texas Energy Department disagrees with Governor Abbott's claim, stating that the outages have come frozen supplies at natural gas, coal, and nuclear facilities. Some officials are already calling investigations into why the infrastructure in Texas failed during the storm. Texas power equipment can handle the heat and drought, but it isn't built to operate in the cold. So winterizing equipment might help mitigate the potential for another blackout in the future. Storms like this one point similar events to the future due to the effects of climate change. So instead of relying on isolated power plants that can't import power from the other states, experts say people should invest in backup and battery storage options for individual neighborhoods.
At least 31 people have died nationwide as a result of the devastating weather. The mayor of Austin, Texas, is urging residents that are lucky enough to have power to prepare to live like the ones who don't. This plea was met with harsh criticism by those who noted that downtown Austin was still brightly lit, while the traditionally black and Hispanic neighborhoods of East Austin was in total blackout. Meanwhile, some residents' efforts to keep warm have turned fatal. 4 were killed in a house fire caused by a fireplace, and over 300 cases of carbon monoxide poisoning have flooded hospitals. The cases have arisen as a result of residents bringing generators inside or running cars in attached garages. Residents are urged to take notes of symptoms such as headaches, confusion, fainting, and hearing and vision problems. The storm and outages have also halted COVID-19 vaccination efforts for Texas state health officials. Estimated that 1 million doses may have been administered over the course of the week, but impassable roads and lack of running water delayed the delivery of the vaccine shipment. As of now, it is still unclear when the doses may be able to be delivered. The good news, though, is that the temperatures are expected to increase into the weekend. Over 2 million Texans have since regained power, but many are still struggling. FEMA has been moving generators and diesel fuel into Texas along with blankets and water, and residents can continue to help by conserving power, food, and water.
And in other national news, Amazon is being sued by New York due to their deficient coronavirus response. James, Amazon had shown flagrant disregard and retaliated illegally towards employees who had shown concerns. Attorney General James says, quote, Amazon's flagrant disregard for health and safety requirements has a serious illness and grave harm to the thousands of workers in these facilities and poses a continued substantial and specific danger to the public health, end quote. This investigation was originally launched last March by Mrs. James after multiple complaints about the absence of precautions for workers in New York, especially in New York City, where half of the general population is affected by the virus.
And as COVID persists, many people are asking when more financial relief will come. House Democrats look to vote on their $1.9 trillion stimulus bill as early as next week, though House Speaker Nancy Pelosi stated Thursday that some hurdles do remain. With passing the bill, the House's draft would include $1,400 direct payments, $400 federal employment benefits, and the gradual implementation of a $15 minimum wage. The bill will also include funding for vaccine distribution and aid for state and local governments. Now, what's going on with the weather? Because I'm going back to Buffalo to see my parents this weekend, and I want to know what's going on.
Well, we may be used to the cold, but it doesn't mean a lot of us like it. And it looks like we're going to be continuing with more snow for the direct future and for the end of our school week here in Fredonia. For today, we're going to be seeing plenty of clouds and scattered snows with temps sitting just below that freezing line of 31 degrees. Tonight will be more of the same wintry mix, but temps will continue to drop into the mid-20s.
All right, well, thank you, Topher. We'll have to keep in mind to dress warm. We'll be right back.
Different kinds of pipes freeze for different reasons. To protect yours, wrap insulation around exposed pipes. If a hard freeze is forecast, open the doors under sinks and let the hot and cold faucets trickle overnight. Leave the heat on if you're leaving town. Following these steps can get you through cold weather on a high note.
During World War II, recycling was a way of life on the home front. Rubber, tin cans, cooking grease, paper, scrap iron, those and many more items were recycled for the war effort. It was a time of crisis. The nation desperately needed new sources of raw materials. Millions of Americans were united in a common cause. Today we face a crisis no less real, but of another sort. A solid waste crisis that can no longer be ignored. We are simply running out of places to put our garbage. With your help, we can meet this new challenge as well. Source separation and recycling will save valuable space in our landfills and help protect our drinking water and the air we breathe. Together, we Americans can win the war against waste. Start recycling today.
The 2020 Summer Olympics in Tokyo were already delayed once, and now there are questions as to whether they'll be delayed again. Japan started its vaccine rollout on Wednesday, the 17th, after it asked the PISFR to conduct trials on Japanese people. These tests caused the rollout to be delayed in Japan, which already had low confidence in the vaccine itself. The government is moving ahead with Olympic plans, but according to recent surveys, 80% of Japanese people support cancellation of another delay of the Games. By the beginning of April, Japan plans to have almost 40 million people vaccinated. But some are still worried that the thousands of people coming in from all around the world for the Games will put too much strain on the hospitals.
And will Ford finally transition into manufacturing electric cars? Well, the company hopes to do so across Europe by 2030. The company will spend $1 billion to convert its German factory into a producer of battery-powered cars. The new electric car will be released in 2023. This is part of Ford's larger plan to invest $15 billion in electric cars by 2025. Their rival, General Motors, has also announced that the vast majority of its cars will be electric by 2035. And Ford's announcement comes just days before the United Nations released a report that directly called on world leaders to take action to reverse the effects of climate change. And now here we're going to talk about some sports. And how are those Sabres doing, Kevin?
Not too well. It's been a rough couple of weeks. We'll get to that in a second. First, Jessica Pegula's impressive run in the Australian Open unfortunately came to an end Tuesday night in Melbourne, Australia, as she lost to fellow American Jennifer Brady. Pegula won the first set 6-4 before losing the second set 6-2 and then the third set 6-1. Pegula, the daughter of Bills and Sabres owners Terry and Kim Pegula, defeated two-time Australian Open champion Victoria Azarenka in the first round, Samantha Stosur in the second round, Kristina Mladenovic in the third round, and then the number 5 seed Alina Svitolina in the fourth round before falling to Brady in the quarterfinals. Brady then defeated Carolina Muchova in the semifinals, while Naomi Osaka defeated Serena Williams. So now Brady and Osaka will face off in the finals tomorrow morning at 3:30 Eastern Time. And the Sabres lost their fourth game in a row last night as they fell to the Washington Capitals 3-1. Victor Olofsson scored the lone goal for the Sabres, who have scored 2 goals over their last 3 games, both coming off the stick of Olofsson. The Sabres are last in the Mass Mutual East Division with the 4-7-3 record and will look to get back on track tomorrow afternoon in New Jersey for a 12:30 puck drop with the Devils. And it was the Devils who gave the Sabres COVID, which is why they were out for 2 weeks, and they haven't won since. And the worst part is they just look flatter than a pancake. It looks like no one cares. They're lazy. They look like they're already checked out. So that's why it's already very frustrating, because we already have a 10-year playoff drought, and it looks like we're going to be in for another year of this.
Well, maybe it'll get better. We'll be
Hopefully.
right back with some odd news stories, and we'll be right back after the break.
I'll be right back.
Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
It's me, Artie. Come see what I collected from the Creative Galaxy in my idea box.
Transform your world.
Will you help me make art?
Before you throw it away,
Hey, I have an idea.
think outside the box.
Go be amazing!
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
Welcome back. Before we go over to Topher for the weather, let's look at some odd news stories for the week. As if this year could not get any stranger, a citizen in Russia has discovered blue dogs roaming outside an abandoned chemical plant that once made plexiglass and hydrocyanuric acid. This discovery speculated concern for the animals in local area, and the dogs were stained this bluish color due to the possible exposure to a chemical such as copper sulfate. According to Newsweek report, these dogs have suffered no adverse health effects after the 7 of the dogs were brought to a veterinary hospital for examination.
There have been stories of people leaving random other people in their will, but have you heard of a dog? That's what happened to one lucky pup in Tennessee. Lulu, an 8-year-old border collie, will now be living the good life after her owner left her more than $5 million in his will. According to the will, former owner of Lulu and successful businessman Bill Doris, the money should be put in a trust for reasonable monthly expenses needed for Lulu's care.
And on Monday, the chief mouser of London's 1 Downing Street celebrated 10 years on the job. Larry the tabby cat was first recruited for the Prime Minister's home in the office by David Cameron and has faithfully served under 3 prime ministers. The former stray is the first to hold the title since the retirement of the previous mouser in 1997. He is beloved by many members of Parliament, staff, and the public alike. When not catching mice, the 14-year-old cat can be often found patrolling the grounds and napping.
Well, I'm still wondering what's going on with this weather. You know, it's some days it's like a blizzard, and then other days it's just nothing. So I guess we'll check out and see what Topher has to say about it.
What do we have in store for this weekend?
Well, this weekend actually would be a good weekend to get out with your pets if you have some. This weekend does seem to appear more pleasant and actually looks as though the constant cold streak might settle down for a bit. Saturday we'll be seeing a bit of mix of sunshine and scattered flurries throughout the day, but mostly sun. And that'll all clear up by the nighttime. Sunday seems to be the better of the 2 days, with temps actually climbing into the mid-30s with a high of 36 degrees. Currently there seems to be a minimal chance of snow, but overnight it could come and have about an inch or 2 for the start of the week on Monday.
Awesome. So much, Topher. So what do you guys think this dog that was left $5 million is going to spend it on?
Well, you know, a lot of chow chow mix and a lot of, you know, maybe some tennis balls and some rubber toys. I'm not really sure, to be honest. How about you, Topher?
I think I could see a couple of chew toys left and right whenever it needs a new one.
Like a gold-plated shoe toy?
Oh, easy.
Essentially?
Yeah, definitely.
That's what I'm thinking.
Some new dish bowls or some trips to the park.
It definitely won't be struggling anytime soon, that's for sure.
Oh no, I might have to call him up if I'm having any problems because I got to
me
pay
too.
back this debt after I graduate this semester.
I know,
So
and who knows what's going to happen with student loan debt with Biden, so
exactly,
we'll see.
we have no clue, you know. But I guess that does it for our first episode of News 11 this semester. We're excited for our new look, and we're going to try out some new things this semester. So stick around. Take care.